In such a situation, the ideal Islamic administrative model is being considered as the only way out of this impasse. All-out efforts are, therefore, needed to move away from whatever non-Islamic in our politico-administrative system towards Islam, because the welfare of the Muslims depends on Islam, and without Islam, they have no future. So, all the activities, all the plans, rules and regulations that is being implemented must adhere or abide with the Islamic perspective. Nandiyan ang Quran at saka ang Sunnah. Another form of penetration may include penetrating the educational system. Okay, ito yung mga aims and objectives, especially the institutions of higher learning. In education and training, Islamic principles of government, politics, economics, and administration may be taught to students alongside various other theories and concepts of management and administration. Besides, the universities and civil service training academies might be persuaded to offer politics and administration and so on and so forth. So, inshallah, there are a school in Marawi City who offer subjects in Arabic. For example, LCCI. There is a 9 subjects in Arabic. Also in Khadija Muhammad Islamic Academy. I don't so of course yung Sharia courses. So yan yung kagandahan sa mga school ngayon sa Marawi na lumalaganap yung mga Islamic education. So, moreover, the Islamists can also approach various higher commissions of administrative reforms and try to influence their outcomes. Penetration is also needed in the mass media and traditional religious institutions such as madrasas and mosques. So, in order for us to help with the spread of the Islamic point of view, Islamic public administration, one must use mass media as a way or as a tool to spread the Islam public administration. Paulit-ulit lang ako, I'm so sorry. So, in this way, time would come when the whole society would be prepared to implement the Islamic administrative model which tries to maximize justice and welfare in the real world situation. So, inshallah, still ngayon, although we are in the democratic country, so less dominant tayo. So, in the near future, inshallah, we will be implementing this Islamic administrative model on how we could establish our affairs in an Islamic way. So, magiging maayos din ito, inshallah. The traditional concern of public administration is to ensure efficiency and economy in policy implementation. Yan yung nakaugalian. It is a value-neutral process consisting of certain activities like in other words, ito yung tinatawag nating sa PA 101 which is the post the curve. So, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling through which inputs received from environment are converted into outputs. In an Islamic society, the goal of every subsystem is to evolve an Islamic framework of life. If development means change towards desired direction, then the goal of the development in Islam is the movement away from non-Islam toward Islam. So, in Islam, the other factors concerning our daily life activities, for example, lahat ng hindi related or hindi nakaangkop doon sa binigay tinakda ng Allah, tinakda sa Quran o sa Sharia law na dapat natin gawin. So, as much as possible, we are obliged to stay away from it. So, para maganda yung takbo ng ating pamumuhay, hindi natin dapat gayahin kung ano man yung tinuturo ng secular, which is hindi din talaga maiwasan dahil na rin sa uh, for example sa economy, for example sa sa batas na pin-implement sa ating lugar. So kinakailangan natin ngayon makibagay. In the political realm as well as in socio-economic sphere, the goal of Islam is to attain Islamic ideals. Of course, only in Lanao del Sur, I don't know, which is vote buying is talamak, corruption also. So yan yung dapat na iniwasan para maganda yung public administration. Halimbawa, administration including all the lahat ng pamamalakad na dapat ginagawa sa isang lugar is considered as a good public organization. Yung tinatawag nating good moral governance. Likewise, in Islamic administration, the goal is to maximize Islamic values of humanitarianism, of which adl and ihsan are important consideration. These two considerations or Islamic values is very vital. So I have provided an Islamic administrative model, which is the characteristics and values. We have a theory, as you can see, Islamic administrative model al-Burai based on Quranic and Sunnah, which in the empirical focus or unit of analysis is that in this theory, individual organizational behavior is the primary concern. Surah or the assembly decision through mutual consultation as the process, and the leadership is participative. This is very interesting because as you can see, it is well equip itong itong theory na to. Maganda yung pamamalakad niya, which is concern niya yung individual and organizational structure or behavior. Then yung the assembly, the form of decision making is consultative. They are giving or the people involved in this model, if this theory is kung i-adapt, for example, is consultative. They are the people surrounding on this halimbawa sa isang organization is they are exchanging ideas, mutual understanding para maganda yung kanilang pamamalakad. Non-secular and orientation. Okay, hindi tinitingnan yung makamundong bagay. Halimbawa, yung sa Western education, for example, Western aspect of living. Human orientation rather than production orientation. Stress on values. Ito, values, ethics, and morality from the Islamic point of view. Then the cooperation rather than competition. Mas binibigyang pansin yung cooperation ng individual or ng organization ng lahat kabuuan rather than sa competition. Leadership authority but not absolute. So hindi dito sa model na to, hindi dahil siya yung leader, siya na yung masusunod. There is still a consensus. For example, sabi natin kanina sa decision making, so merong consultation. Surah ang consultation as a process, anti-bureaucratic in nature. So, anti-bureaucratic nature because this theory follows the guidelines on the Quran and Sunnah. So, the values to be maximized, yung dapat na inculcate o na ginagawa ng isang administrator is that justice and welfare. So they are primarily concerned with the use of fair and impartial mode of giving justice to everyone. Then the welfare and development of the citizen. Then freedom and social equity as outlined in Sharia. Personal, material, and spiritual growth. Tinitingnan dyan, human dignity, equal access to services, then responsiveness to client needs and demands, diligence in work and competence. As we can see, this is a very very the term is maganda yung model na ito because lahat nung tinitingnan natin sa isang theory, sa isang model na dapat i-adapt ng isang organization is that na nakalagay na doon. So, ang pangalawa is new public administration model. So, it only primarily the primary concern is the client needs and expectations. Tinitingnan sa new public administration model yung client at saka ang expectation. Ibig sabihin nito, mas tinitingnan nila yung mode of success at saka yung production na kanilang magagawa kaysa doon sa kanilang empleyado. Bureaucratization, the bureaucratization is that walang tinitingnan, the leaders are the says. Sila lang yung may sinasabi, sila lang yung fina-follow. Wala silang certain guidelines na sinusunod. Client involvement in decision making. So, ito sa client din, as we all know, sa mga offices mayroon tayo ritong suggestion box na kung saan nilalagay sa isang service center sa isang lugar para pakinggan naman yung gustong mangyari ng client. Then social equity, so the standing, for example, this is more on what we call this economy. Okay. Then we have Islamic public administration, education, and its relevance to national building. The administrative nature of Islam attaches to an organized performance and create an effective administrator to implement the public policies of the Islamic State, which is being designed in the light of Islamic Sharia. Kanina pa yan, although Islamic contribution to the development of many disciplines and professional fields during its classical intellectual period are beginning to be appreciated. This lacuna is now addressed through a substantial and growing scholarship in the history of the social sciences, mathematics, and natural sciences, and professional fields like medicine and engineering. So, ito yung naitutulong, ito yung meron ang Islamic Public Administration sa education. One field that has only recently received attention is Islam administrative history and the possibilities of establishing new public systems grounded in Islamic principles and practices. In addition to a long history of administrative experience, there is a long tradition of text on Islamic public administration in the form of academic, political, legal, and historical commentaries like those of Ibn Khaldun and Al-Ghazali, and in chronicles by Al-Kalanisi of 12th century Damascus and Ibn al-Adim of 13th century Aleppo. There is also the literature produced by government officials in the form of manuals, anecdotal accounts, and mirrors of princes produced mostly by experienced viziers like Al-Mulk and jurists like Al-Mawardi. This in fact because the administrative textbook of the period. By the way, the term viziers are those high-ranking authority or officials during reign of a certain king in Islamic history. Another major body of document relevant here are the sets of correspondence, government procedural documents like those of the Seljuk governor, investiture, and commentaries by viziers. Some of the most successful viziers like Nizam al-Mulk contributed to the professionalization of the civil service through the establishment of educational organization. Nandyan ang madrasa, mashallah, for government officials who would replace the secretarial class. So, yan yung through Nizam al-Mulk, madrasa evolved. Okay, the last part is the historical survey and evolutionary process of Islamic public administration. I hope masagot nito yung report. So, the Islamic roots of administration generally exist in the primary and secondary sources of the Sharia in addition to the practices of the early Muslims. The Islamic Sharia lays down principles and fundamentals for the orientation of government affairs and the construction of good and ethical administration. So, mayroong sinusunod na batas ang isang Islamic country, Islamic state, kung paano nila gagawin yung kanilang mga activities, yung kanilang policy making, yung rules and regulation being implemented for the good of everyone. Islam, by virtue of its emphasis on learning and knowledge, was explicitly open to the acquisition of knowledge and skills from other people, providing they did not contradict Islamic principles and values. So, as we all know, pati ako, nakapagtapos ako ng education. So, more on sa Islamic, hindi tayo nag-aral ng madrasa, hindi tayo nakapagtapos ng kulya. So, although tama na mag-aral tayo ng knowledge and skills sa ibang sa Western educations, but kapag may mga hindi angkop o hindi maganda na makakasira sa pamumuhay natin bilang isang Muslim, so dapat iwasan natin yun at saka hindi natin ginagawa. According to Al-Burai, the Quran describes the Muslims as those who can carry out their governmental and administrative affairs by counsel among themselves. So, he also explained the definition of Yudabbirul Amr as encompasses the ability to design, plan, direct, organize, and govern affairs. So, an administrator or leader must have the ability to design, plan, direct, organize, and govern affairs. Therefore, authoritarian and dictatorial leaders and administrators as well as one-man decision makers have no place in the administrative system of Islam. So, hindi ho yan. Kung may makikita may mga dictatorship, hindi ho po pwede. Hindi ito acceptable sa Islam. Only those who are pious, God-fearing, just, kind, and capable of performing their tasks are given power to rule and undertake administrative charges. So, now, off record in Lanao del Sur, mostly not all, there are still leaders who are not practicing corruption. So, palawalat, kung sino man yung natamaan nito, I'm so sorry. So, I'm just saying that mostly on the internal revenue allotment sa era natin, so kinakain lamang imbes na gamitin sa development ng isang pamayanan. Principles of administrative systems in the Quran. Meron tayong principles of state government administration. We can find it in Surah Nisa 58-59. The administration of justice, Nisa 58. The ruler and the ruled, which is Nisa 59. 58. People's authority, the principles of leadership, loyalty, the principle of consultation. So, I have provided this information because if you have time, so you may scan or skim this vital information for the administrative systems in the Quran. 3 arguments are made to demonstrate that there has been and still is a distinctive Islamic public administration. So, my report, as I have is masyado nang mahaba. The first section examines the historical argument that Islamic states and empires, drawing in part of long-standing and sometimes quite sophisticated bureaucratic practices in the region, develop a complex and highly functional public administration long before it appeared in Europe. So, nung una pa lang, maganda na yung public administration, yung pamamalakad in the history ng isang Islamic states on the kung paano nila ginagawa yung administrative public administration nila. So, some aspect of which form the massive influx of scholarship and professional knowledge from the Islamic world so into the Western during the Renaissance. So, important development in state administration were made during the Islamic Golden Age, which are usually overlooked in the public administration literature. So, as we heard, there are, for example, in the education, mayroon tayong yung sa algebra, nandiyan ang Al-Khwarizmi, ang school ng AKEK, kung saan makikita natin there are famous personalities who are scientists, for example, who establish or make or made their name well known, for example, for their famous theories o kaya yung mga projects nila. So makikita natin na malaki ang naimbag ng Islamic world sa history at saka sa buong mundo. So, ang pangalawa is the second argument examines the underlying principles of good governance and administration from the Quran and Sunnah, focusing on those aspects most relevant to the senior civil service, its development over time into a sophisticated and highly successful vizierate structure. So, sa naunang panahon, maganda yung pamamalakad because the leaders or the administrators follows the rules set by the Quran and the Sunnah sa pamamalakad, for example, the good governance. So inshallah, the project of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, which is the moral good governance. Okay. An important feature of Islam and its administrative history is that the Quran and Sunnah, although serving as a guideline for how one conducts one's life, did not determine what kind of government arrangement were to exist, apart from a number of general principles of morality and service to the human community. So in this second argument, stated that in the administrative history, the Quran and Sunnah become the guideline for the people in the administration of how they will act on their affairs. So the last one is the third section, examine the contemporary empirical agreement of Islamic public administration, which is the contemporary is the present, I guess. So, and practices that are being planned and established in a number of Muslim states. The focus is on four aspects that have received the most attention recently in developing Islamic administration as a distinctive social institution in the modern world: organizational culture, human resource management, and policy and decision making, and public sector leadership. So, in this third section, gives emphasis on the four aspects on how an Islamic administration be properly developed. So, mayroon tayo rito organizational culture. What is the culture of an organization? The human resources management. Who are those people involved in an organization? Policy and decision making. What sets of rules and laws being implemented on the certain organization, and public sector leadership, or yung tinatawag nating the leaders or the administrator being involved in an organization. So maraming salamat. My references in this report are as follows. Makikita nyo dyan, meron kang nilagay. Tapos, nilagay ko na rin po rito lahat ng references na nakita ko. So, maraming salamat for the time na binigay ninyo. If there are things that you wanted to clarify, please feel free to beep me up. So, just drop a message on my inbox if there are things that you wanted to clarify. Maraming salamat and magandang araw sa inyong lahat.